Unit 130, Reporting. Okay, this is our first exercise. We have a dialogue, so let's read it first. Така, имам един диалог. Нека да видим. What's the trouble? Well, doctor, my husband hasn't been very well lately. He's very nervous and can't sleep. What your husband needs is a good rest. I'll give you some sleeping pills. Okay, doctor, when must I give them to him? Don't give them to him, you take them. Now, can we try and retell this story? We can start like, a woman went to a doctor because her husband, well, wasn't feeling good. Okay? So, the doctor asked her what the trouble was, and she said that her husband hadn't been very well lately. Okay, he was nervous and he couldn't sleep. So, the doctor replied that what her husband needed was a good rest, and that he would give her some sleeping pills. Then the lady asked when she had to give them to him. And then the doctor said not to give them to him. Okay? She told her to take them. Okay? Now let's look at the answer. Okay? So, the doctor asked the patient what the trouble was. She said her husband hadn't been very well lately. He'd been very nervous and he couldn't sleep. The doctor told her that what her husband needed was a good rest, and he would give her some sleeping pills. She asked him when she had to give them to him. He told her not to give them to him. He told her to take them. Okay, now let's have a look here. Нека да погледнем това изречение. She said her husband hadn't been very well lately. I think it's quite clear. Yes. In direct speech we have, okay, doctor, my husband hasn't been very well lately. Смятам, че тук това, което имаме е ясно, това, което е казано в direct speech, в пряка реч, съответно е в сегашно перфектно време, минаваме в минало перфектно. Но що се отнася до следващата част? He'd been very nervous and couldn't sleep. Аз го преразказах he was very nervous and he couldn't sleep. Смея да кажа, че имаме двата варианта. Обърнете внимание, изречението, което е дадено тук в Reported Speech, е въведено с запетая и мога да се отнеса, че това изречение he'd been very nervous се отнася към този период lately, напоследък. В този смисъл това граматично време стои изключително добре. Обаче, ако приема, че това, което е казано тук, he's very nervous and he can't sleep. She said that he was very nervous and he couldn't sleep. Sounds great. Okay? Така, нека да погледнем, имаме ли нещо друго. The doctor told her that what her husband needed. Okay? Needed. The past simple. Okay, was good rest and he would give her. Okay? And he'll give her. Така, при условие, че аз предавам тази история и се изразявам малко по-свободно, абсолютно мога да кажа and he was going to give her. Okay? So, and next, she asked him when she had to give them. So, must, the past tense here, had to. He told her not to give them. He told her to take them. I think it's right, okay? And this is our next exercise. We have to fill in the gaps with the following words. Okay, let's look at them. Remark, think, exclaim, wonder, call, explain, ask, shout, answer, reply, scream, to promise, order, warn, refuse. Okay, so let's see. Don't go near that building. The policeman, what? Okay, he warned. Okay, to warn, да предупредя. So is it dangerous? A man asked. It's a question. Yes. Is it dangerous? A man asked. Okay. Yes, it is. The policeman, what? Replied. To reply, to answer. Yes. Okay. So, number 2. Help! I'm drowning. The boy in the water, what? Shouted, screamed, I think sounds good. Screamed. Yes. Don't panic, we're coming. 2 men on the beach. Okay, did what? Called. I think it sounds good. Or shouted. Yes. Number 3. She's got a lovely voice. A man at the front of the concert hall remarked. To remark, да забележа, да правя забележка, така, да отбележа в този смисъл. Okay, once again, number 3. She's got a lovely voice. A man at the front of the concert hall remarked. Okay. His wife didn't say anything, but she... A terrible voice, you mean? She didn't say anything. Okay, but she... thought, I think, yes? Thought. But she thought, a terrible voice, you mean? Number 4. Okay, Dad, come downstairs. There is a phone call for ya. Claire shouted. Yes? All right, I'm coming. The father, what? Answered, replied. Okay. Okay. The father answered. 5. How does this tin opener work? The lady what? Asked. It's a question. Yes, do you agree? Okay, can we say something else different? Something else here? Okay, I think we can say wondered. Yes, how does this tin opener work? The lady wondered. Okay, or the lady asked. But it's a question, so let's have it like ask. Yes, so sorry. The lady asked. So because it's a question. Okay, and the answer is press the button and it works automatically. The man in the shop explained. Okay, to explain, обяснявам. Okay. So number 6. What a large box. Donna exclaimed. To exclaim, what is the meaning? Да възкликна. Exclaim. What a large box. Donna exclaimed. So, what on earth can be in it? She wondered. Yes? Okay. And number 7. Pull down the red handles on your life jackets. The flight attendant ordered, instructed. Can I say something this? Okay. So ordered sounds good. Okay. And number 8. I'll definitely be at your house before 7. Kim promised. Okay, I think it's quite clear. 9. No, I won't eat that. The little boy refused to eat his dinner. To refuse. Okay. Refused to eat his dinner. Okay, that's it. Now, this is our next exercise and we have a story. Let's read it. So listen to me. The policeman asked if we'd seen anybody strange in the street the previous night. Jake told him he remembered seeing a young woman with a small child who had seemed very upset about something. The policeman asked him what time that had been, but Jake couldn't remember exactly. He said he thought it had been around 4 p.m. because he had just seen his neighbor, Mr. Simmons, who usually came home from work at that time. Then the police officer asked him what he had done between leaving work and arriving home. He replied that he had had dinner with a friend in the Lebanese restaurant in Grand Street, and then he had done some shopping before driving home. The policeman explained that they were going to interview the neighbors. He asked him to phone the police station if he thought of anything else which might be useful. Okay, this is a conversation. Така, това е една историка, която ние разказахме. Един разговор между двама души. The policeman and Jake. Нека да се опитаме да го направим в пряка реч. Okay, this is the first thing the policeman said. Okay? So, the police said what? Or asked, did you see anybody strange in the street last night? Okay, once again, the police asked us, okay, did you see anybody strange in the street last night? And Jake answered, what? Okay, he told him, what? I remember seeing a young woman with a small child who seemed very upset about something. Okay. So, next, the policeman asked him what time that had been, but Jake couldn't remember exactly. Okay, so the police asked, what time was it? Okay, direct speech. What time was it? And Jake answered, what? I can't remember exactly. Okay. Okay, let's go. So here he said he thought it had been around 4 p.m. because he had just seen his neighbor Mr. Simmons, who usually came home from work at that time. Okay. We can go like Jake also said, okay, it was around 4 p.m. Okay, because I had just seen my neighbor, okay, Mr. Simmons, who usually comes home from work at that time. Once again. Okay, Jake also said, what? Okay, I think it was around 4 p.m. I think it was around 4 p.m. because I had just seen my neighbor who usually comes home from work at that time. Well, this is direct speech. Okay. And the next question that the policeman asked. Then the police officer asked him what he had done between leaving work and driving home. What did he do? Okay. What did he do between leaving work and driving home? Yes? So, and Jake replied, that he had had dinner with a friend in the Lebanese restaurant in Grand Street, and then he had done some shopping before driving home. So Jake replied, I had dinner with a friend in the Lebanese restaurant in Grand Street, and then I did some shopping before driving home. This is direct speech. Yes, I had dinner and then I did some shopping. Okay? And finally the police explained what? We are going to interview the neighbors. Please phone the police station if you think of anything else which might be useful, which may be useful. Okay? Now, let's look at the answers here, and this is the dialogue, in fact. Yes? Okay. Did you see anybody strange in the street last night? Okay, once again, reported speech here. The policeman asked if we'd seen anybody strange in the street the previous night. If we had seen. Okay. So Jake answers, I remember seeing a young woman with a small child who seemed very upset about something. Okay. Jake, okay, looking here, Jake told him he remembered, past tense, yes, seeing a young woman with a small child who had seemed, okay, very upset about something. Okay. So, next. The policeman asked what time that had been. What time was it? Okay, they're talking about last night here, and this is the dialogue. Okay, what time was it? The policeman asked what time that had been. Okay. And Jake, what? He said, I can't remember exactly. Yes, I think it was around 4 p.m. because I had just seen my neighbor Mr. Simpson, who usually comes home from work at that time. Yes, and once again the reported speech. Okay, here. He said he thought it had been around 4 p.m. because he had just seen his neighbor, who usually came home from work at that time. Okay. So, direct speech. What did he do between leaving work and arriving home? Here. Then the police officer asked him what he had done between leaving work and arriving home. Okay. And okay. Here. But firstly, I had dinner with a friend in the Lebanese restaurant, and then I did some shopping. Okay, once again, reported speech. Look here. He replied that he'd had dinner with a friend, and that he had done the past perfect, okay, some shopping before driving home. And finally, the policeman says, we are going to interview the neighbors. Please phone the police, okay, if you think of anything else which might be useful, which may be useful, I can say this, okay. And once again, reported speech, the policeman explained that they were going to interview the neighbors. Okay, he asked him to phone the police station if he thought of anything else which might be useful. Okay, that's it. Okay, once again, we have a story, so let's read. One day, a poor man who had only one piece of bread to eat was walking past the restaurant. There was a large pot of soup on the table. The poor man held his bread over the soup, so the steam from the soup went into the bread and gave it a good smell. Then he ate the bread. The restaurant owner was very angry at this, and he asked the man for money in exchange for the steam from the soup. The poor man had no money, so the restaurant owner took him to the judge, who was a clever and strict man. The judge thought about the case for a little while. Then he took some money from his pocket. He held the coins next to the restaurant owner's ear and shook them so that they made a jingling noise. "What was that?" asked the restaurant owner. "That was payment for you," answered the judge. "What do you mean?" "That was just the sound of coins," protested the restaurant owner. "The sound of coins is payment for the smell of the soup." The judge answered the judge, "Now go back to your restaurant." Now, can we try and retell this story? Okay. This is a story about a poor man. He had no money. He had only one piece of bread. And at that time he was walking along the street, and there was a restaurant nearby, yes? So he saw a large pot of soup on the table there, yes? Okay. So the poor man walked up to the table, and he held the bread over the soup, yes? So the steam went into the bread and it gave it a really good smell. So he ate the bread. But the restaurant owner got angry. Okay, he asked the man for money. Okay, but the poor man had no money, so he was taken to the judge. The judge was a very clever man, and he thought for a while, and what? Then he took out some coins from his pocket, and he shook them next to the restaurant owner's ear. Yes, so they made a jingling noise there. And now here we have the conversation they had. Okay. At this, the restaurant owner asked what that had been. Yes. The judge replied that had been payment for him. Okay. So then the restaurant owner protested and asked what the judge meant. Okay. And he also said that that had been just the sound of coins. Yes. To this, the judge replied, okay, he said that, okay, he said that the sound of the coins was payment for the smell of the soup. Okay, and he ordered him to go back to his restaurant now. Okay, that's it. Така, внимание по отношение на това, че когато разказваме една история, ние приемаме като своя. Преминаването от пряка в непряка реч ще касае нещо, казано от някой друг. Така, например, he protested that and he said that, he explained that. В този смисъл. Okay, that's it.